the interaction of the participants in the presentation, and actually coordinating and working with the presenter instead of just having the presenter being a talking head really helped a lot of people out to ask the questions that were on their mind, but they may have been afraid to ask. And it really solidified the knowledge that that Dave was presenting and the different core concepts and actually how it was applied too.
So now, your stakeholders love you, and they said, go forward and implement this process. Here's your budget. We see that you have your team. We love your vision. We love the fact that you have an idea of what problem you're trying to solve and how you plan to do it. You have everything in place that would allow an executive to say, I feel comfortable enough. I'm going to orchestrate. We'll make this happen. So same phases of planning, design, build, deliver. But now, since we're speaking specifically towards software asset management, a lot of the elements that I have here is specific to software asset management. So there were several processes that we talked about. The overall management processes that was up in the diagram, our core processes, our life cycles. If this was another process, an ITSM process, and I keep talking about incident because it seems to be one of the bigger ones that people adapt to, so we have to do this first. As part, even in the top 10, it's really like number 1 or 2 in the list of the ITSM processes that ITIL recommends that you implement. You will just replace those names with those core buckets of things, because these are all deliverables, right? And so if you, in your work breakdown structure, this would be, in my design phase, here are the several work products that we have here to deliver. And you would go through that through all 4 phases. Now, one of the key things that you'll have to do after you do your planning is workshops. Workshops are really cool because it really gives you an opportunity to really interactively learn from your team in a collaborative way. And some of you walked in here and I gave you a card. And so you would have things like business leader, procurement 1 or procurement 2, accounts payable, and desktop. So I'm going to simulate based on this process where we initiate an order, process an internal order. You initiate one for the external order, place that order, process the media for software. You're going to install it, right? There are going to be some invoices. And then you have to do a proof of license, right? So if I install it here on Van's machine, I want to make sure that I have Van's information, I know where he sits, I know his kid's name, I know all sort of information about Van. So I know exactly where he is. So what we'll do is that I gave you some people who walked in the door, slip of paper. So if you have the business leader slip of paper, what we'll do is simulate what you would do in a workshop. Because what we do is get everyone in a room and we look at the process end to end and all the people who are involved, and you walk through that process. It's called a paper walkthrough. So who has the business leader piece of paper? Business leader, please, ma'am.
I am in the service request system and placed an order for 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
And procurement 1.
I'm in the service request system and process an internal order for 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
And procurement 2.
I am the external vendor portal system, and I placed an internal order for 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
And procurement 4 or 3.
I am in the external vendor portal system and received an order for 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
And procurement 4.
I am in the software asset management system and updated the receipt of an order for 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
Accounts payable. Accounts payable, anyone?
I am in the accounts payable system and processed an invoice for 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
And desktop 1.
I'm in the sound system and installed 50 Microsoft Office licenses.
And desktop 2.
Proof of license updated in Sam's system.
So as you can see, we have selected several different roles, and what we're doing is role playing. All right, we don't have the systems in place because sometimes when you're putting in a brand new process, right, you don't have any systems to support what you're doing, right? So you will go through and lay out your process, and really define what that looks like. And you would have the individuals who will perform those functional roles really speak through the actions, right? Which gives you, the most amazing thing that I've seen is that sometimes you have two people working for the same organization, have never met each other, have no idea what the type of work that they perform on a daily basis, and there's a light bulb moment that goes off at that point in time. Because for the first time, everyone is in the same room, having the same conversation, and talking about the same process. We're focused. But even more important than that is that sometimes people take back the lessons learned from those paper walkthrough and organically integrate them into their processes. And you're going like, wow, it's not time yet. But yeah, but this is a low-hanging fruit. We could get this done now. And that's beautiful, to be able to run these workshops. And be mindful, workshops happen all through the phases. So as you evaluate, you'll have a workshop. As you strategize, you'll do the same, orchestrate. Even for delivery, you'll have a workshop where you're validating your process to ensure that it works. Because as you go through delivering this project, at the very end, you may have the system in-house, right? So now you have an opportunity to work through your paper workshop or your processes and bring that now into a system where within that system you could test, validate that this process really truly works, right? So one beautiful thing is that you end up with a beautiful diagram like this. And this is a PowerPoint diagram. So you have lots of errors all over the place, but if I wanted to walk you through this, I would say, well, you start here, and someone came in and made a request. We're still talking about software asset management because previously, we had this high-level view that someone initiated, right? So most people who get to see this other spaghetti diagram, they already have a business context of how this works. I gave you a high-level diagram. I did a workshop. Everyone walked through the process. So this will be familiar. When they get here, it wouldn't be like sticker shock. You'll be like, oh, what is this? No, so there's a start, and we know that there was an initiation of an order here in our service catalog. Now, if it was a new request, we'll go through the procurement process, and we'll have finance and HR involved, and that's part of our ERP system, right? Now, if it was an existing order, we have this asset management tool where we have a repository that the order starts and it initiates and says, well, let's go out and go into our service catalog and see what we have here. And basically you'll start having that conversation that, yeah, there's a request, someone needs to install it, there's gonna be some change that needs to take place, someone has to deploy it, all right? And eventually, then we end. So I could essentially walk someone through this process and it would make sense to them because I spent time to go through and have it at a very high level from a business perspective, give you simple boxes that you could understand. Now here comes the real complicated part of it, where things are all interconnected and you have lines going everywhere and little narratives about what they are, what information is being delivered. So now after you've done that, now comes to the beautiful part of marketing and educating your team. We don't do that as IT people. Hey, we install the system, it's done. Go work it. Yeah, what's the impact? We don't know. So we know we're terrible at that. So I said, reach out to your marketing team. Build a marketing campaign. I was at one company where everywhere you went, and they were bringing ITIL in, they said, ITIL is here. And every time there's just messages all over the company that this is coming, everyone knew, what is ITIL? Then people start looking into what it was. People start, hey, we have some education. We can get trained in ITIL. Really? What is that? So no matter what level you are in the organization, they brought that training in-house so that people could be educated as to what ITIL is all about. And that's a key component for our organization. As leaders, as IT leaders as we are, it's really important for us to let people know that we're doing something great for them and make sure we give them an opportunity to be educated about it. Right? And make it simple. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be a very complicated effort.